This is the second part of today's video support for our asynchronous learning, and we're looking at writing analysis paragraphs today, and we've already covered that in the first video, the kind of structure of it, and the new terminology for today is the triad of support, which is the type of three-sentence grouping that we would like to use to develop our support within the body of analysis paragraphs. So you can see here that we're looking at the poem Tyger by William Blake, which was published in the year 1794. So it's a little bit of an old poem, but I still think it's a beautiful poem. And challenging ourselves to become comfortable with different voices, different tones, different kind of vocabulary in terms of language is a really good strategy for any student. So you can see that I've gone ahead and completed all of the analysis in our framework. So you can see that I'm highlighting the beats per line, the rhyme scheme, and then our different types of poetic devices, which we're organizing into 4 levels. The structural level, which talks about the beats per line, the rhyme scheme, the wordplay, the basic wordplay level, which we could call wordplay 1 or maybe wordplay A and wordplay B. Wordplay A is alliteration, assonance, anaphora, and refrain. Wordplay B is metaphor, similes, personification, and then we can talk about the most advanced level, the 4th window, which would be theme, tone, voice, and then we could also discuss different types of poetic forms, traditional types of poems like sonnets or odes, the heroic couplet, things like that. But today we're looking at this Blake poem. And so we can see that the analysis has been completed throughout the framing chart. So that's the first step of getting ready. Now we're going to start an example of an analysis paragraph. So you always want to have a title to go with your paragraph. So delving into the forge of the Tyger. So that's just kind of a creative idea that I've come up with. So I'm going to make this bold, and I'm actually going to increase the size a little bit. Now normally we'd want our font to be 12-point font for submitting assignments, kind of this type of size, right? This is actually 15-point font, but I've upgraded the size to make it easier to see for these videos. So then of course we're going to always tab the first line in, so you just hit that button. That's called indenting the first line, so we always hit the tab button. Now remember, the first sentence is our topic sentence, and we'd usually include the author's name and maybe the work's name as well. Another thing to note is when we're doing these types of assignments, we always want to double space them. This just makes it easier for your instructor to read. Okay, so we've got our topic sentence now in Blake's masterpiece, Tyger. Now, don't forget, titles should be italicized. So let's just go back and make sure. Yeah, is it the Tyger? It's the Tyger. So just trying to get things accurate. It always takes a second to double check, which is fine. And we italicize our titles. So in Blake's masterpiece, The Tyger, the poet is investigating the morality of the creator's choice to forge a tiger. So that's what we talked about in our previous videos, that you need the author's name. We usually like to know the title of the work that we're analyzing. And then we come up with a big idea, kind of a big insight that will be our framing idea or our umbrella idea. And then the next thing we've got to do is prove this. And again, the form we're working with is the triad of support, a 3-sentence combination that sets up an idea sentence, a citation, and then has that all-important analysis sentence that shows our ability to think and delve and investigate and come up with connections and kind of support our position. All right, so I'm putting forward this idea of this, the questioning aspect of this poem, how the poet is kind of constantly questioning the creator. So then we can go back. Now remember, we're trying to analyze this poem through our 4-window structure. So technically we'd want to include some analysis of the rhyme scheme, of the beats per line, of the wordplay elements, whether they're level A or level B, and then of the theme. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is in terms of structure, this poem follows a rhyming couplet. Couplet is a pair of two lines together, and quite often they are put together in a rhyming pattern, right? So we could call them rhyming couplet pattern of A, B, B, and this is how we would, the slash shows the break to the next stanza. Okay, so that's my first triad of support, which goes from here to here. So you can see that what I've done is I've kind of talked about the structural point, which is window one of our analysis. Now we'd be moving into the next level or the next triad, which we would assume is going to be the wordplay components. And I've kind of hinted at something that I'll try to bring back later in the paragraph. Here's another transitional phrase when considering the wordplay poetic elements. Notice how whenever I have one of these little transitional phrases, I'll actually highlight them in, let's do it in green, just to make them stand out. You can see that there's a couple of different methods that I can use, but it can be a single adverb, or it can be a prepositional phrase, or it can be a longer phrase that's starting with a question word. But notice there's no traditional clause structure where we have our main subject and our main predicate. This is just a little linking tool or transitional tool that we use. So then we can see that I've now framed for the reader what I'm going to move into next. So first I talked about the structure. Now I'm talking about the wordplay. So I capitalized one. I should capitalize both for consistency, or not capitalize both for consistency. As a writer, you can make a bit of a choice there.